When I first started going to the gym, I was just doing anything I thought was productive, and there were a lot of things that were actually hindering my progress. So if you're new to the gym and a beginner just starting out, here are the 5 things I wish someone had told me when I was starting. First thing is you do not need to do cardio to lose weight. I know we hear this all of the time, and I actually look back and cringe a little bit at myself because when I first started going to the gym, I would go for an hour on the tread before I did any strength training. Now I know this is far from optimal because you end up using all of your energy on the cardio and you have less energy to do your strength training. Now I have separate days. I have active recovery days where I incorporate cardio, but I mainly focus on giving my strength training as much effort as possible. If you enjoy cardio, absolutely keep it in your routine, but if you're wanting to maximize your gains, just make sure to do it after you lift. Also, another thing I just learned from a Jeff Nippard video is that when you do cardio to burn calories, your body actually adjusts and burns less calories for the rest of the day to kind of balance that out. So you'll fidget less, for example. And so you actually burn less calories than you think you do doing cardio because of this. So the more you know. Number 2 is that form matters way more than progressing in weight, especially when you're just getting started. When I first started, I just picked a workout program and followed it. And I didn't really understand the exercises or anything I was doing. I would watch videos on how to do the exercise and I'd just copy the movement. But I wish I'd taken a little bit more time to actually understand what muscles I was targeting so I would know where I should be feeling the movements. A really big example of this is my glute kickbacks, which have since gotten so much better. But in the beginning, I felt them way more in my stabilizing leg. I actually recently dropped the weight specifically so I could focus on form again because I started to feel it more in my stabilizing leg all over again. And this really, really helped. I just dropped the weight, went slower, and really focused on feeling it where I was meant to feel it. So if you're just starting out, you're really new to exercises, just do a little bit of research into where you should be feeling the exercises and your anatomy, just so you can have a better mind-muscle connection as you begin exercising. Not only will this maximize your gains, but you'll actually just feel better and get less frustrated when you're doing movements if you can actually understand the movement and what it's doing. Number 3 is that the scale is just not as important as you think. I used to fixate on the number on a scale, and if that number was not what I wanted to see, it would ruin my whole day. But weight alone is just not a reliable tracker for progress, especially if you're building muscle at the same time, and especially if you're a woman. For women, a big thing is actually water retention as you're losing fat. So sometimes you'll feel like you're just plateauing. This actually recently happened to me. I felt like I wasn't losing any weight for a significant amount of time, and then just swoosh, the number on the scale was significantly lower. And no, I didn't lose 3 pounds overnight. This can just be water retention. Sodium can have you cling on to more water. Your hormones could be different. You could be on your period. Like literally so many things can change your weight, but it's absolutely not changing your fat. Your fat and your muscle mass are different from what you see on the scale. So when it comes to weighing yourself on the scale, do not focus on that number that you have if you weigh yourself in daily, which I don't even necessarily recommend. Focus on that trending line. So like monthly, is it going down? Even if you have a plateau, is the overall trend still going down? And after you've been tracking for a while, just take a look back at what your trends tend to be, because I started to realize that I was having those plateaus and then big drops. So when I'm in a plateau, I get to remind myself of this. Hey, there's probably a bigger drop coming soon, and I'm pretty much always right. To go along with this, number 4 is non-scale victories are so important. They matter so much more than people realize and are so much more reliable than the scale. Some great things for this are before and afters. I filmed so much content at the beginning of my journey that I'm very grateful for, and I still film so much progress checks now. If you're interested in seeing my journey and my physique progress, I definitely recommend following me over on Instagram or TikTok. This is where I post a lot of my content that shows like my before and my after. And I love looking at this. It helps motivate me, keep me reminded of where I started and how much progress I've made in those moments where I feel like maybe I'm not progressing as much as I'd like. Another thing is body measurements. I have a smart body measurer that I use. I can link it down below for you guys, but basically just taking measurements of your body. You know, there's no denying if your waist gets smaller or if your goal is to make your arms bigger with muscle, you know, you can measure that too. Either way, but body measurements are another another great way to keep track. Again, you're going to experience some fluctuation just like you will with weight if you're like bloated or anything, but overall body measurements are a much easier way to keep track of progress than a number on the scale. And the last thing I'll mention is getting stronger. Keeping track of your weights. If you're lifting, please keep track of the weights that you're lifting and when you're able to go up in weight, because it's really, really important to be able to track this. Just remind yourself, hey, you're getting stronger. So even if maybe you can't see as much muscle or you're not seeing as much weight loss as you'd like, you can definitely rely on the fact that you're able to lift heavier. There's no debating that. You're gaining some muscle. So these things can keep you going on the days that you feel like the scale is not cooperating. And just to say, if your goal is weight loss, it is important to keep track of your weight, of course, but just keep in mind, like I said, that all these things fluctuate, and it's a really great thing to have these in storage, your strength, your measurements, your before and afters, for the middle of that progress where you're just not seeing as much of a dip as you're expecting. And number 5, consistency is what builds results. It really all comes down to just showing up for yourself. And consistency does not mean showing up every single day, because let's be real, some days you're going to fall off. What consistency really means to me is showing up every single day when I can, but when I fall off, being able to get back on track without wasting time getting mad at myself for it. There is no point in getting upset at yourself and just being really angry or upset when you fall off, because a lot of times that just leads to you fully giving up and feeling like nothing you do is enough. What matters is getting back on track the next day. And I've made a lot of progress in my physique. This is me before and this is me now. And I wasn't perfect, but what I was consistent. If you want to see what a day of me getting back on track after falling off looks like, you can check out this video over here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to follow my other socials if you want some more daily bite-sized content like this. And I might just see you in the new year. Maybe I'll upload on New Year's Eve though. We'll see. See you. Bye.